Greetings and welcome to A Contemplative Reader, where together we will explore the mysterious, the spiritual, the mystical, and the otherworldly in various forms of literature. Today I will be exploring the short story entitled La Befana by Gene Wolfe, which was first published in 1973 in the magazine Galaxy, and then included in the 1980 compilation of short stories by Wolfe entitled The Island of Dr. Death and Other Stories and Other Stories. This story is only 4 pages long, but I think it actually gives us a perfect example of what it is like to read Gene Wolfe and to try and make heads or tails of what he's talking about and to understand what is going on in this story. At first blush, the story is a story of a family living on a presumably alien planet. Their last name is Bananas, hopefully just a nickname. Parents are John and Teresa, children are Maria and Mark. The grandmother is also staying with them, and there's a mysterious neighbor giving birth to a child. There is also an alien companion, furry animal of sorts named Zaz, who is quite friendly and talkative as well and plays a major role in the story. So that is the essence of what is going on here in terms of the backdrop. You also discover the reference to the title of the story, La Befana, and I did a little bit of research on that, and it is a Christmas story largely told in Italy, which goes briefly like this. So the 3 wise men, the 3 magi, were following the star to find the infant Jesus, and on their way they encountered this elderly woman in this shack, and her referred to as La Befana. And so this woman welcomes the wise men in on their stay, takes care of them, and then the wise men resume their journey. But they invite this woman to follow them to find the Christ child. She refuses, saying she has other things to do. But then she has a vision telling her that she should go try and find the Christ child. So she leaves, but isn't able to find the Christ child. So every year on January 5th, the eve of the Feast of the Epiphany, she takes to the skies looking for the Christ child, and on her way to find the Christ child, stops at homes to deliver presents to children. So this story is referred to in the short story La Befana. And it's then you start unpacking what Gene Wolfe is referring to here. First of all, you think of the names of the family. John and Teresa, the parents. John, a very biblical name of various people. Teresa, the name of various Catholic saints. Teresa of Avila and Therese of Lisieux. Children, Maria, of course, Mary, mother of Jesus. And then you have Mark, author of one of the 4 Gospels according to tradition. You look at that backdrop, and then you look at the story of La Befana, which is told. And you realize also through the characters' dialogue that this story is taking place on the eve of Christmas on this planet. The children start asking questions. Well, do the people of this planet believe in Jesus? Do they have the faith? And you get a little bit more detail about the neighbor woman who they can hear giving birth. And you start piecing this all together. And you realize that Gene Wolfe is making the point that what if the nativity of Jesus were to occur on another planet? So that is the story. Again, it took some research. It took a reread. But I think it's just a great example in only 4 pages of what reading Gene Wolfe is like before you start biting off bigger works of his. Most notably, of course, the Book of the New Sun. So I recommend this as a great way to dip your toe into Gene Wolfe to see if this is something that you might like. It's not perhaps one of his greatest short stories, but I think it's a fun little and charming, actually, I would call, story through which Gene Wolfe, I think, is ultimately making the point that Christ is universal, that just as Christ could be born in this world, he can also be born in other worlds. And he does it by tying in these stories of these traditions from other cultures, as well as the story from the Bible and from church tradition as well. Thank you for watching. Peace be with you.